Hey, thanks for being here. It genuinely means a lot. And if you feel like subscribing, that'd really make my day. Now, let's get into it. I'm Nolan West. Just 7 days ago, I would have told you my life was steady, maybe even idyllic in its routine. I'd been married to my wife, Aubrey, for 8 years. We hadn't started a family yet, though we often tossed around the idea of doing so next year. Our house was a canvas of Pinterest-worthy DIY decor, a place that felt full even without children. Aubrey, an elementary school teacher, was universally adored. Always in cheerful floral sweaters, her penmanship so perfect it looked typed. I worked remotely as a back-end developer in Cincinnati. Our lives fit together neatly. People said we were that picture-perfect couple, sunshine married to a software guy. I believed it, right up until I stumbled upon something I never should have found. It happened on a Tuesday. I was upstairs cleaning the guest room in preparation for my cousin Troy, who'd recently gone through a painful breakup and needed a place to reset. That room hadn't been touched in months. While moving a nightstand to vacuum behind it, I heard something drag lightly across the wood. I bent down and froze. Tucked away behind the table was an ashtray. Not just any ashtray. It held 3 cigarette butts, half-smoked, abandoned as if someone meant to keep them hidden. 2 were marked with dark red lipstick. The third was burnt down nearly to the filter. I sat down, stunned. Aubrey despised smoking. She couldn't even walk past a smoker without recoiling. I picked one up with shaking fingers and sniffed. The smell of stale tobacco hit me hard. Real cigarettes, real evidence, and absolutely not from some innocent mishap. My brain tried to explain it away. Maybe a guest left it? A cleaner, perhaps? Some forgotten relic from before we lived here? I took photos from every angle, methodically. My mind reeled, but my actions stayed precise. I put everything back, finished vacuuming, made the bed. Still, I kept returning to that corner of the room, staring at it like it would eventually tell me something I didn't yet understand. Aubrey came home at exactly 5:37 p.m., just like always. She placed her keys in the little ceramic tray by the door, bringing with her the familiar scent of vanilla. Her usual bright, "Hi, babe. How was your day?" made it all feel disturbingly normal. I played my part, said I was just setting up the guest room for Troy, but my mind was no longer calm. Behind my smile, every thought was calculating. We had dinner. Something light played on TV. She graded papers while I watched her, not as my wife, but as a puzzle that suddenly didn't fit together anymore. At 11:18 p.m., she kissed me goodnight and turned over to sleep. By 11:30, I knew what I was going to do. I didn't sleep. I just lay there, listening to her steady breathing while the ceiling fan rotated above, a calm rhythm mocking the chaos in my mind. I used to think privacy and trust were the foundation of love, but that little ashtray had shifted everything. Trust wasn't something I felt anymore. It was something I needed to confirm. At 6:02 a.m., before she stirred, I slipped out of bed. Like usual, her phone sat charging on the kitchen counter. It was unlocked, untouched. I plugged it into my laptop, launched the mirroring software I'd downloaded the night before, and started a full data sync. I copied everything: texts, call logs, app histories, notes. Her entire digital existence now mirrored on my screen. It was intrusive, possibly illegal, but I wasn't thinking like a husband anymore. I was preparing like someone entering enemy territory. While she was at school, I pretended to work from my home office. In reality, I stared blankly at code I couldn't comprehend, watching her incoming notifications in real time. Most were mundane: chats with coworkers, reminders for meetings, a note about dry cleaning. I started to think maybe I was wrong. Maybe the cigarettes weren't a clue at all. Maybe I'd built a conspiracy out of nothing. Then, at 3:16 p.m., a text popped up from someone labeled Eric G. I felt my stomach tighten. I didn't know any Eric G. As far as I knew, Aubrey didn't either, or at least not well enough to be texting like this. His message was short. "Same time tonight? I already miss your scent." I felt my pulse slow, not quicken. My body seemed to dull itself, preparing for impact. Her reply came almost instantly. 9:35. He leaves at 9:30. Doors unlocked. I read it, then read it again and again. They'd been using my nightly walk, something I did religiously at 9:30 p.m. every evening, as their window. I didn't shout, didn't break anything. I just sat there letting the weight of betrayal harden inside me. That night, she made her signature chicken marsala, the dish she cooked when she wanted to say I love you. She laughed, asked about Troy, acted like everything was perfectly ordinary. And I played along, wearing a smile like a mask over a cracked foundation. At 9:28 p.m., I tied my shoes. She sat on the couch, sipping peppermint tea and grating. "Be safe," she called out, not looking up. "Always," I said, voice steady. But instead of heading right, I turned left. 3 blocks over, I ducked into a narrow alley and positioned myself behind a tree, eyes locked on our backyard. At 9:37 p.m., the side gate creaked open. A man strolled in, dressed in gym clothes, looking entirely too comfortable, early to mid-30s, fit, confident. I recognized him immediately. Eric Godwin. Lived just 2 houses down. Friendly guy, supposedly married. We'd even shared beers at the last neighborhood barbecue. He walked through my back door like it was his own. My fists clenched involuntarily. 6 minutes later, I was standing at his house. The lights were on. His wife, Haley, opened the door wearing pajamas and holding a bowl of popcorn. "Nolan? What's going on?" she asked, brows furrowed. "You need to come with me," I said flatly. My tone left no room for hesitation. She followed. The guest room was dark, but the noises filtering down the stairs made everything clear. Soft voices, laughter, movement. Haley stopped halfway up. "What is this?" she whispered. I didn't answer, just kept going. At the top, I opened the door slowly, like I was peeling back the final layer of a nightmare. Aubrey was laughing, her blouse halfway off, sitting astride Eric. His hands gripped her waist. They moved together as if they were completely alone, until I flipped the switch. The room froze. Aubrey's face twisted, first pleasure, then shock, and finally a quiet, dreadful horror. Eric grabbed for a pillow. Aubrey scrambled back, shaking. "Not one word," I said. My voice was dead calm. Haley stood behind me, wide-eyed and pale. She looked at Eric like he was a stranger. Then she turned to me, tears welling. "How long?" she asked. Eric said nothing. Aubrey did. Her voice barely a whisper. 3 months, maybe 4. The silence after that was like gravity. "Get out," I said. "Nolan, please, just let me explain." "Out," I repeated. "You act like garbage. You leave like garbage." Then I added, "No clothes." Aubrey broke into sobs. Eric hesitated. Haley didn't. She picked up his shorts and flung them out the window without a second thought. They left. Broken. Exhausted. But in that moment, I wasn't mourning. I wasn't furious. I was focused. The war had begun. That evening, I sat wordless on the living room sofa, sipping harsh coffee from a cracked cup, eyes fixed on the spot where Aubrey's wine glass used to rest like a centerpiece. The room didn't feel empty. It felt tainted. Every decorative pillow, each photo frame, even those carefully curated live laugh love slogans she had proudly displayed now seemed like props in a play. I should have felt like I was falling apart. Instead, I was sharpening my blade. I opened my laptop and started assembling what I came to call the war file. I downloaded every text she had exchanged with Eric, logged every timestamp, cross-checked their Google Calendar meetups, which conveniently overlapped with my evening walks. I screen-recorded it all. I even cracked her cloud backup, thanks to software she never thought to sign out of. By sunrise, I'd compiled a damning 150-page report, and only one name came to mind: Miranda Bellamy, the most formidable divorce lawyer in Dayton. She once dismantled a real estate mogul so ruthlessly during a deposition, he fled the country. I wasn't seeking fairness. I was seeking obliteration. By 11:30 a.m., I was across from her desk, sliding a flash drive across the polished wood. Miranda, mid-50s, hair like steel wool, eyes like scalpels, plugged it in, and began scrolling. After a few silent minutes, she paused and met my eyes. "Looking for a clean exit?" "No," I said steadily. "I want the upper hand." She leaned back with a knowing look. "Then you've come to the right place." The following days were pure execution. No emotion, just strategy. Aubrey had moved into her sister's home and started reaching out. "Please, just talk to me." I left it on read. Then came the email. "I miss you. I made a mistake. Can we fix this?" I forwarded it straight to Miranda. Meanwhile, I stayed distant, observant. Eric's own life imploded within days. His wife Haley filed for full custody 2 days later and posted his cheating receipts all over social media. Local Facebook groups had a field day. Aubrey became a walking punchline. But I wasn't finished. Friday evening, 6 p.m., game night. Troy came over. I laid it all out for him. He didn't look surprised. He looked furious. We ordered pizza, set up Monopoly, and invited Haley. After a couple beers, Troy leaned in. "So what now? You let them slink away like nothing happened?" I smirked. "They think they've only lost face. Next week, they lose everything else." Monday morning, 9 a.m. sharp. Divorce papers hand-delivered. Aubrey appeared on my porch, mascara streaking, voice shaking. "Please don't do this. Let's go to counseling. I was lonely. You were always gone. I made a mistake." "Enough," I said, cutting her off. "I gave you love. You treated it like a hobby." I passed her the documents. She stared, stunned. "You're taking everything." "No," I said. "Just what's mine. The lies, you can keep those." Over the next few months, her world slowly caved in. The house, mine, the accounts, secured. Her social image, in shambles. Eric, lost custody, ordered to pay child support and move back in with his parents. Me? I slept peacefully for the first time in years. But this wasn't just about revenge, it was about rebuilding. Haley and I, both scarred by betrayal, started talking. Not romantically, just two people who had been through hell. Late-night chats on the porch, honest talks over cold coffee. Laughter not born from showmanship, but from shared scars. There was peace in it, a stillness that didn't need labels. One night she looked over at me and said, "You scare me sometimes." "Why?" "Because you didn't lose it. You didn't lash out. You calculated." I leaned in. Anger burns fast. I wanted something that smolders. She looked at me as if she understood, then whispered, "Never stop protecting your peace." And we held that eye contact. That spring arrived slowly, as if even nature was mourning what I had buried. The trees were late to bloom, the skies hung gray, but for once I didn't feel fake. I wasn't posting curated moments. I was living in truth, even if it hurt. I started remodeling, took down every feel-good quote Aubrey had ever mounted. All the "love lives here" and "grow together" nonsense came down. I replaced them with space, honesty, and quiet. Haley began stopping by, not out of obligation, but because she wanted to. We'd sit on the porch barefoot, eating leftover pizza, swapping stories we never dared tell our former partners. She told me about Eric's gaslighting. I admitted I stayed silent too long, scared that speaking my truth might shatter everything. She laughed about Eric insisting he was too busy to do dishes. I laughed too, not because it was funny, but because I finally could. One evening, she brought over an old scrapbook. "This was going to be our 10th anniversary gift," she said. "Guess I'll repurpose it." We flipped through its blank pages. Then she looked at me. "Do you think people like us get second chances?" I didn't answer. I just opened to page 1, grabbed a pen, and wrote, Chapter 1, this time built on truth. She smiled. That night she stayed. No touching, no kissing, just two people who had nothing to hide anymore. Aubrey, meanwhile, spiraled. She called from a new number, left a message. "You can't erase me, Nolan. We had a life." But she was wrong. I didn't erase her. I documented the truth. She erased herself the night she opened the door for Eric. She tried challenging the divorce. Miranda responded with 3 crushing paragraphs of legal precision and a mountain of evidence. Haley won her case. Eric got 4 hours a month, supervised. I passed him once while jogging. He was picking up his son. The boy recoiled when Eric reached for him. Eric's shoulders slumped. Our eyes met. I didn't slow down, I didn't nod, I just ran past him. By summer, peace came, gradually, in rearranged rooms, in no longer waiting for drama to ding my phone, in checking the mailbox without anxiety. Peace wasn't loud. It was Haley laughing while painting her living room. It was Troy asking me for advice now that he saw me differently. It was hearing myself say, "I'm proud of how I handled it," and believing it. Then one day Aubrey showed up. No call, no warning, just her at my door, thinner now, worn down. "I just need closure," she murmured. I leaned against the door frame. "I don't owe you that, but go ahead." She hesitated. I was lost. Eric made me feel special. I thought I needed something else. And by the time I realized I didn't— "You'd already set it all on fire," I said. She looked down, unable to continue. But I didn't need her words. I already had what I came for: clarity, peace, a life that didn't include her anymore. It was over. Tears shimmered in her eyes. "It's not the house I miss," she murmured. "Not the life we had. It's you I miss." I didn't speak. There was still a faint glow inside me, but it wasn't love. It was the trace it left behind. "You don't love me anymore, do you?" she asked. I looked at her, offering the softest truth I could give, gentle but honest. "I do," I replied, "but I've learned to love myself more." She took a breath, then nodded slowly. "You've changed." "I had no choice," I said. "You gave me no other way forward." As she stepped out, I closed the door, without anger, just quiet acceptance. Later that evening, Haley came by. I told her everything. She didn't react with jealousy or fear. Instead, she rested her head on my shoulder and whispered, "She's right, you're different now." And I whispered back, "So are you." August arrived like an old friend, warm, reflective, familiar. Cicadas filled the days with their rhythmic drone, louder than the weight of memory. The evenings stretched on the porch, long and full of silence that knew how to heal. Haley and I found our own tempo. Not lovers exactly, but more than just friends, something more tender and profound. What we were creating wasn't born of loneliness or the urge to replace someone. It came from endurance. She understood what it meant to be betrayed. She knew the ache of lying next to someone who smiled with hidden secrets. Most importantly, she had learned how to rebuild herself, quietly, without destruction. We took our time. No labels, no urgency. But something real began to grow. One Thursday evening, as the summer leaned gently into early autumn, she showed up with takeout and a thick manila folder. "What's that?" I asked, pouring her a glass of wine. She exhaled. "A job offer. Cincinnati Children's. They want me to lead pediatric rehab." I went still. Cincinnati was over an hour away. "It's what I've worked toward for years," she said carefully. "But it means moving. New schools, a different life." My chest tightened, but I kept my voice steady. "Then you should go," I said. "You've earned this." She paused. "Would you consider coming with me?" I didn't answer right away. I thought about the house, the walls that once echoed with pain and now held peace, the neighborhood that had watched me fall and then slowly, steadily rise. Then I looked at her, the woman who showed up when the rest had vanished, and said, "Yeah, I think I would." 2 weeks later, I packed only what mattered: my tools, a few keepsakes, a photo of my parents on their wedding day. The rest, I gave away. The house on Elmwood Drive, once a symbol of heartbreak, now stood vacant. And for the first time, the emptiness felt like release. Haley's children adapted quickly. Her daughter, Lila, called me Mr. Nolan and taped crayon drawings to my desk. Her son, Ben, quiet at first, soon asked me to help him construct intricate Lego worlds. And Haley? She flourished. Her happiness was no longer just a mask. It was real, visible in her eyes, lighting every room she entered. Our life was simple: shared meals, puzzles on Friday nights, farmers markets on Saturdays. Nothing dramatic, nothing cinematic, but true. One brisk October evening after the kids were asleep, we sat out on our little balcony, wrapped in the comfort of quiet. Her head rested against my chest. "You know what's wild?" she whispered. "What's that?" If Eric hadn't strayed, if Aubrey had been honest, none of this would have happened. I looked up at the stars. I think about that too. "Do you still think of her?" she asked, not with accusation, but with openness. It could have hurt, but it didn't. "I miss who I thought she was," I answered, "not who she turned out to be." She nodded, getting it. "I miss who I thought he could become," she said. "The life I imagined we were building. But what we're creating now," I began. "It's real," she finished for me. I turned to her. "It is." She gave a quiet smile, then said softly, "I think I'm falling in love with you." And I didn't need to think. I already have. Half a year later, we bought a cozy house just beyond the city. Big enough for laughter, small enough to keep us close. The mailbox read, "The West Callahan Home." Sometimes, walking through those new rooms, I'd remember what it was like to lose everything. Other times, I'd watch Haley in the early morning, hair tousled, pouring cereal in pajamas, and feel a depth of gratitude I hadn't known I could hold. A year after leaving Elmwood, I sent Aubrey a letter. It was short, peaceful, final. "I hope you found what you were searching for. Thank you for teaching me that pain can be the start of something better. I don't hate you, but I've let you go." She never wrote back, and that was all right. One quiet evening, Haley and I watched the kids racing scooters down the sidewalk, their shadows long but no longer heavy. She leaned into me. "Do you ever wonder what would have happened if you hadn't found those cigarettes?" I smiled. "Number, because if I hadn't, I wouldn't have found this." She let out a soft laugh, then whispered the words we both had been holding back. "We're home now, aren't we?" And for once, I didn't need to say a thing.